Good, you guys? Ras Sakti out here in Singapore. Thank you so much once again joining me on the Night Owl podcast. I don't know how y'all put up with me, but I really am very, very grateful. For the most part, you already know, I'm documenting my life. It's about business, it's about, personal relationships, about conversations, about friendships. It's about life as a single mom, like all of that. It's all of that. And I'm happy because generally speaking, every time I talk about this stuff, I feel more and more confident about the fact that what I'm teaching can be applied in every area of your life. Now, part of teaching means that I also learn from the people that I'm teaching. They say that, one person teaches and two people end up learning. And I couldn't be more of a fan of that quote because I feel that really is applicable in my situation. I teach the same concepts over and over, but it's to different people who are in different situations with a different level of understanding, with a different way to learn. So as I talk to them, they will give me insights about how they are applying this or how they understand the information. And so I get a better idea of what else I can do to make it very, very simple and easy to apply. But alongside that, I also realized that if I had known this stuff, maybe my marriage wouldn't have fallen apart. If I had known these things, maybe I wouldn't have found myself in situations where I was constantly compromising my own integrity to please somebody else. Maybe if I knew about the five love languages, I could have maybe employed them in my in my marriage and found a way to really connect with my husband because guess what? Both of us had the same excuse a lot of times when we were fighting each other. Both of us would say stuff like, I gave you everything. I've done everything for you. What is it that you even do for me? Because I do everything in this house. Both of us had that same idea and threw it at each other. But what we didn't do was sit down and list out what each of us did and why it wasn't enough for the other person. So this is where the love languages really, really hit home for me. As I started teaching, I was like, wow, really, this is a very, very simple concept. I wish I'd known this before. And I started noticing in my own life that it wasn't just one or two things that were my love languages. It's a hierarchy of all five. I need all five in my life, but it just depends on which one is most important and which one really doesn't matter to me. So now that I know better, and now that I'm a little more lucid in my everyday life, a little more conscious, a little more awake, I realized that if I had just paid attention to what it is he said that I wasn't doing, I would have realized what his love language was. Here I was trying to do everything. I mean, I would give him gifts and I would do, acts of service and I would give him constant praise and affirmations. I would spend quality time with him, but I never thought to ask him if those things actually worked. I never thought to ask him if those were things he considered as words of praise or affirmations, or if that was considered quality time for him, or if that was considered a really good gift for him. I did not ask. I assumed. And I did what I thought I loved to give, so I just did that. And I hoped that it was enough. Okay, I didn't hope. I knew it was enough. I thought, I knew everything, and I really thought that I was doing all of the work in the house. And maybe I was doing a lot of it, but I wasn't doing all of it. There were some things that he was doing too. And there were some things that I was not letting him do. And I did not realize that. Now I saw this quote from Tony Robbins that says that the way a husband and wife work around each other in the first few months after their child is born will tell you exactly how the divorce will happen. And honestly, I was a little controlling and I was a little hands-on with the baby, and I was very, very protective, and I didn't let anyone touch the baby. And I don't know if it was stemming from the fact that I had issues with my dad and I have issues trusting people to do things that are helpful with the baby. I mean, I remember I didn't let my son hold the baby because I was hell-bent on thinking that people were going to hurt her or drop her or weren't smart enough to be able to take care of her, that I was the only one able to do that. And even then, I didn't know everything because I was scared I was going to, she was not going to survive. I don't know how she's made it 9 years. Like, honestly, I'm really grateful, but I was that scared and that terrified, and I was convinced that no one can do it better than I could. So I didn't let anybody either, which means, let's look at this from a dynamic in a marriage kind of standpoint. If I don't let you be a part of the baby's life, I can't really blame you for not being a part of the baby's life, right? I made it easy for you not to be there because I handled everything. I've always handled the kids, though. I've always taken care of his kids, my stepdaughter and all of her school stuff. I met her when she was 3, and my stepson, I met him when he was like 8 or 9, and I raised them for about 8 years. I did everything that I could possibly do to make sure that they were taken care of. And that was a learning curve too, because I did exactly what my parents did. They treated me the way their parents treated them. They didn't know any better. And so I went into this expecting that my kids would understand when I said, don't question me, just do what I say because I'm bigger than you are, or I'm older than you are, or I'm the parent, you're the child, you don't know any better. And when they didn't, it kind of slapped me in the face, and I had to be like, well, shit, how did my mom do this? Oh yeah, she beat them. She beat us, and then she beat us into submission. But I can't do that in this day and age. I'll be thrown in jail. I'll be arrested. So I had to adjust. I learned with the kids. I learned what they liked and didn't like because they were very, very vocal about what they like and don't like. With my husband, I didn't. I didn't ask because I didn't care. And I didn't let him do anything because I wanted to make sure I took care of it, because I was afraid of trusting someone enough to be there for me and then finding that they weren't. Because abandonment issues, y'all. Attachment, abandonment issues. So I realize now, because when one person teaches, two people learn, and because I keep teaching the same thing over and over again, I realize that I had a hand in the destruction of my marriage. I self-sabotaged to a degree. And he didn't insist on helping me either. So both of us are at fault here, and I can't say he's the bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He just wasn't a good fit. And I didn't know how to tell him that, and he didn't know how to step up to the plate either. Maybe it was because of the way I approached him. Maybe it was because, when I came at him sometimes, right? I never hit him. I didn't scream at him or anything, but when I came at him, it was kind of passive aggressive. And it was always to point out the fact that he was like this with all of his other exes. Why would I expect him to be anything better with me? And so when you accuse somebody, right, sometimes they're eventually going to embody the things you accuse them of. So he became an absentee husband. And he wasn't always there around with the kids because I was handling the kids. So why would he need to be there? He didn't want to step on my toes, and he didn't want to be told off in front of them either. So I added to that. But here's the thing. Looking back right now, though, there were plenty of things he didn't do for me. And whether I voiced them out or not, if he loved me, I was thinking that he would at least ask. Or he would at least realize that I was telling him, hey, there's a problem, and maybe he wants to fix it. For a while after I had the baby, he would complain about the fact that he was not getting enough sleep. That he was not able to rest because he had to go back to work, and baby was crying throughout the night. But it wasn't like he was getting up to help me either. He would roll over in the bed and cover his head instead. And so I would be like, okay, well, yeah, you do have to go to work, and I feel badly about that. So what I did was I moved out of the room. I moved downstairs into the rumpus room instead. So then what I would do is put baby girl to sleep. We were on a futon. She'd sleep on the futon. I'd make sure the pillows are on her so she didn't roll off the futon. And I would go work at the kitchen table to make sure my work was done, because I wasn't eligible for maternity leave, y'all. And when he complains that he's not getting enough sleep and then he has to drive to work or whatever, I didn't feel like I had the space to be able to say the same things. Like, I can't complain and say that I'm not getting enough sleep because, honestly, he didn't want to have the baby. And he felt like I trapped him into it. And so I felt like, how can I complain to him and say, look, I need your help because I'm not getting enough sleep either, when I know for a fact he's going to throw it back in my face. I'm like, well, this is what you wanted, right? We'll deal with it. You see how many communication problems come up when you don't set boundaries and you don't know what you want and you don't know how to relate to each other. You don't know what their love languages are. So many problems, and then it becomes irreconcilable differences, which we leave as vague, and we don't actually discuss what the irreconcilable differences are because there's a little bit of pride on both sides, right? But here is why I feel like this is super, super important information. Because if I had had this information, because I did love him, I did. I was committed. I was so committed that I cut off my friends. He didn't ask me to, but I cut him off when I heard stuff like, oh, well, she's messaging me about getting with me, and these guys are talking about how easy it is to get with you. And I was like, oh, hell no. I don't need anyone like that around me. So I cut people off because, you know what? I'm used to being by myself. I'm used to being left behind. I was committed, and I did love him. And a part of me will probably always love him. But I know we weren't a good fit. And I could have said something along the way when I saw the red flags, but I didn't because, what is that thing? A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush? Because you have it now and you're afraid that if you don't hang on to this, you'll never get anything again. That's how low my self-esteem was. That's how bad I felt about myself. And it's not necessarily stuff that he did. It's part of, the drama that came in with me, the baggage that I brought with me. I didn't have a chance to heal that stuff. But right now, I feel better. It's not that it doesn't hit me sometimes now, but I feel better. I understand it, and I can recognize it when it pops up. So why do I teach something as simple as the 5 love languages or Tony Robbins' 6 human needs? Why do I even go over communication skills? recognizing body language, understanding what's not being said, realizing there's a problem and knowing enough to ask. Ask what's going on. Don't let the elephant be in the room, go address it. Because that's where all the problems come from. You feeling like you can't say something. You feeling like you don't have the space to say something, so you have to like kind of like mute yourself. I hate that. Don't mute yourself. So when I hear my clients say, I did everything for that man, he didn't appreciate shit. You might have done everything. But one thing you did not do was what he needed. And whether he voiced out what he needed or not, obviously that's where the breakdown started. So you guys, when you say blanket statements like, I did everything, I gave him everything, I took care of everything, I gave up everything to be here, those things, that's a big something you're saying. But if it's still not working, it means you're not doing everything. Which means you got to be humble enough to go ask. I'm doing this, 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 and this. I'm not trying to hold it against you. I'm not throwing it in your face. I'm not trying to list off everything that I've done to make you feel small. I need to know what I'm missing. I want to know what it is that you need that I'm not doing for you. Because I feel like I'm doing a lot. It's almost like being busy but not being productive. You're doing everything. You're cleaning the house, you're cooking and stuff, but your business has been in the same place for the last 6 months. And why? Because you're not doing the things that really matter. You're afraid to do the things that really matter. You're afraid to find out what actually matters. And I'm going to tell you like it is. I did that a lot. And I'm not proud, but I did it. But that also means that no one's going to hold me accountable. This is my business, so it's up to me whether I make it work or not. But I think I'm a little more mature than I used to be, and now I know how to recognize those things and do something about it. So you guys, when you get to a place where you find yourself saying, I did everything for that person, I gave up everything for that person, I created a life around this person, that's actually not a good thing, because it doesn't seem like you're taking into account what they actually need. And whether they tell you or not, it is your responsibility as the partner to ask and find out. Now, if you don't know this is a possibility or this is even an option, then I'm doing the right thing by teaching this. I need you to know there's a better way to handle things. And just with a little bit more information, can make a hell of a difference in your life. And that's what I want. That's all I want. I want to make a difference in your life. So if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comments below. And consider this. Maybe you're not doing everything. You are doing a lot. I'm sure you're doing a lot. But maybe it's not the right things. And the only person who could tell you what the right things are is the person you're doing these things for. All right? I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon.